go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the breach. Dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello, welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews, connections, and mine. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, is directed once again by Adam Wingard, who directed the previous film, Godzilla vs. Kong. And this once again stars the big ape and the big lizard going head to head, except this time with a twist when a mysterious signal from Hollow Earth draws Gia, the little girl from Skull Island, the last of her people, and Kong to investigate. They discover an ancient threat that neither Kong nor Godzilla can defeat alone, and they must work together to save the world. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Godzilla x Kong. I will be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, however, so just so you know, there will be some spoilers later on in this review, but first and foremost, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Is it worth seeing? Is it worth seeing in the theater? Is it as good as the previous film? I would say yes and no. It is definitely worth seeing in the theater and with an audience, because there's some great, awesome action scenes that you want to see with the crowd. There's also some funny moments here that's great to share a laugh with the crowd as well. And also, I forgot who did the tweet, but I will shout out this this tweet as well. I found it hilarious that, between Godzilla, X Kong, or Godzilla times Kong, and Godzilla -1 last year, someone said, stop making the lizard do math. That's just bravo. That's hilarious on my front, so kudos to whoever made that original tweet. But anyways, when I say yes and no, if this is better than the previous film, if you go back and rewatch my review of Godzilla vs. Kong, you may remember that I said that I felt that Godzilla vs. Kong was a step down, in my opinion, from the film before that, Godzilla King of the Monsters, as far as we only had, we only had Godzilla and Kong, and then eventually Mechagodzilla at the end, and yeah, it felt like less than the all-out action piece that we had with King of the Monsters, where we had, Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Mothra, all that, and all the other Titans going on. And this movie, it is a step up from that. You get more Titans battling on this front. You got, various, Godzilla battling various the monsters on the surface, and you got Kong battling Titans in Hollow Earth. We get to see some new villains, some new apes, specifically the main antagonist of this movie, which is known as the Scar King, who has his own agendas going on. And from that perspective, there's going to be a lot of Titan, monsters battling each other. So if you're going in this just for that, then I think you'll be satisfied on that front. However, the character-wise is a bit more hit and miss. And what I mean by that is, where the hits happen is between monsters. There's actually a surprising amount of, interaction between the various Titans, especially with Kong and the other apes, that is nonverbal. You get no subtitles at all, but you're able to follow what's going on just based on facial expressions and, movements. And that's impressive, in my opinion. And that, kudos to the CGI artists and the, staging choreography for that, because, man, that is some great writing and all that going into those kind of sequences. However, and as is always the case, the weak link going into these kind of movies is the humans. And listen, I am very much aware, and I'm one of those people who, it doesn't matter if, for these kaiju movies, if the humans are disposable and they're just there to, give away exposition and all that, which that's kind of the purpose for being here. They're the things you got to sit through in order to, get to the big monster action. And you know that going in. This one, however, I feel like And having rewatched Godzilla vs. Kong prior to seeing this new movie, I now realize that the balance and the better distribution of monster action was better in the previous movie than it is for this one. Whereas, once we get to the end of this movie, there's a lot more monster action. That's cool, and it's almost too much from that standpoint. But you have to sit through a ton of other stuff before you get to that end with all the big action going on. And you know where that's going, and in the meantime, all the human stuff, they're, got these humans exploring Hollow Earth, and that could be interesting, except, it's a lot of crazy nonsense that they're throwing out there, and it's like, okay, cool, I guess. And, depending on your mileage may vary, but for me, I was one where it's like, all right, if you're just going to get to the monster action, then just do it. Otherwise, we've been sitting with these humans for a long time at this point. And, they cut back and forth between Kong, which really is kind of the main character at this point. And if you talk about distribution between Godzilla, Godzilla and Kong both share, top billing in title billing in this movie. However, Godzilla's kind of on his own thing for most of the movie. And there's a lot that he's not there. So really we're focusing on Kong in this one. And he gets paired up with, I'll call him Mini Kong. He's got his own name, but it's not referenced in the movie. But I mean, we're all going to call him Mini Kong, or at this point. So they team up with that, and there's that interaction is kind of interesting, but and we get to see more Hollow Earth Titans going on here, but I think I won't take the credit for this observation. Someone else pointed out on the head. I was feeling this going in, watching this movie, but the problem with Hollow Earth is you got all of these interesting monsters and stuff going on, but unless you have, skyscrapers next to them or humans right next to them constantly, you don't get the sense of their scale, really. And, when you see Kong, walking into what should be, a really big lake, it's like, okay, cool, but it looks like he's just walking into, ankle-deep pond water, just based on scaling, because we don't have anything else next to it to really convey scale. And, that's a downside on that front. So that is definitely a down part. And really, for my mind, I'll get into this spoiler talk, but there's other things that feel like huge missed opportunities. And, leaps in logic are nothing new in these kinds of monster movies. Just watch any of the classic Godzilla movies and nonsense just happens. And, you just kind of have to, whether or not you accept it or not, it's up to you. But really, there's some missed opportunities on that front. And that brought it down for me. So, if I was going to give Godzilla X Kong times Kong, the New Empire, a letter grade, I would say this is B-, really. It is definitely better than average. It's not the worst that I've seen in these monster movies, but it could have been better, in my opinion, and it could have balanced things a little better. So, those are my main spoiler-free thoughts on Godzilla times Kong, the New Empire. Now let's get into some spoiler talk as certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you, and where you may have seen them before. So, as I said before, Kong teams up with Mini Kong or whatever, and they've got kind of a, Lord of the Rings, Frodo and Gollum thing going on here. He's, basically enlists Mini Kong to lead him to where all these other apes are. And he's like, he keeps trying to run off, but then Kong, it's like, nope, not so fast. You gotta keep leading me here. So there's that whole thing going on. There's also this sense of, there's a couple of Ice Age comparisons to be made here. One is, you got Ice Age, the Meltdown, where the whole theme by the end is like, oh, you're not the last of your kind anymore, Manny, and there are other mammoths out there. And now Kong's like, he's not the last of his species anymore. There are other giant apes in Hollow Earth, even though they're trying to kill him. So there's that comparison. Also, when they're entering this volcanic area and they walk over this bridge made up of the skeleton of another kaiju, it's like, how can I not think of Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs when I see that? Because that very much happened with them walking into the Hollow Earth with the bridge being a dead dinosaur on that front. So there's that comparison. And also, I found it very interesting, maybe an unintentional parallel, but, you've got Kong realizing he's outgunned, so he goes up to the surface to recruit Godzilla. Maybe think of Transformers Age of Extinction in a way, where, you got the protagonist, Optimus Prime, going to recruit the Dinobots. Basically you got your protagonist trying to, recruiting a giant dinosaur to team up with because the threat that they face is too much for them to handle on his own. So there's that comparison we made. Not the best comparison to be making there with not the best Transformers movie by any means. But here's where we get to my issues, and these were where I was getting to spoiler territories. One is Dan Stevens plays Trapper, the monster veterinarian here, which could be interesting, and he looks like he's having fun, but it's like, wait, who's this guy? I mean, I just rewatched Godzilla vs. Kong, and they had the other guy. It looked like he and Rebecca Hall's character and Gia were going to have this nice little adopted family dynamic, and he's just gone, and it's like, what happened there? I don't know. I didn't watch the Monarch Apple Plus show or whatever. So there was that thing. But also, once we get to the monsters, first of all, the Scar King has in his possession a dinosaur kaiju who basically has a freeze beam going on. Which, when he started coming out, I guess he's called Shimu in the movie, but it's like, you couldn't have made that Anguirus and, retcon Anguirus to have freeze beam. It's like, you could, as a fan of the kaiju extended universe, it's like, I know these names, and it's like, come on, you're so similar, you couldn't have, you could have just made that connection. And then the more egregious thing, in my opinion, is Mothra, which, full disclosure, it was great to see Mothra back, and, teaming up with, Kong and Godzilla, great to see her. But, they already, in Godzilla King of Monsters, the end credits, sequences, they already intimate, it's like, they found another Mothra egg, and it's like, okay, I kept expecting, it's like, alright, they tease like, oh, hey, look, the Eevees in Hollow Earth worship Mothra. It's like, okay, so we're gonna see another Mothra egg here, cool. But it's like, no, Mothra just appears out of pixie dust. And it's like, okay, fine. And then they make Gia has this psychic, connection to summon Mothra, which already feels like they're double dipping a little bit there, because Gia already has like the bond connection with Kong, and now she's the gateway to bond with Mothra, and it's hinted that she kinda has a telepathic link with Godzilla, which, okay, fine, but then it's like, you could have had, I have fully expected they had the leader in shadow or whatever, and then she steps out, and it's a new, different woman, but it's like, you could have had it where it was Gia's, identical twin, and she didn't know she had, and then it's like, you could have had it where, they already teased us with the prospect of Mothra with the twins in King of the Monsters with the Monarch employees. Here, you could have done it. You could have had an Iwi, pair of women who were twins, and they're the ones who have the connection with Mothra. And it's like, you could have done it. Why not? But nope, we're just, it's Gia now because she's there. It's like, all right, fine. Plus, as I watched in the movie, once we get find out, power Kong back up, you got the power glove or whatever that they have to run back and get to Kong so that he can do that. Not knowing Hollow Earth, geography or whatever, or distances, considering that the army of apes was already on their way to the Iwi, enclave or whatever, I find it highly unlikely that he could, zip all the way back to with that ruined base, because it looked like they traveled quite a long way from that base to where they were. And then all the way back in the time that, it seemed like it was a ticking clock going on there, that seemed a little far-fetched in my opinion. But like I said, these kind of nitpicks are par for the course for these kinds of kaiju movies. All that matters in the end is the monster action. And frankly, if I just saw, Godzilla curling up like a cat in the Coliseum to take a nap, that would be hilarious and awesome, and that would be satisfied with just that. But no, we get, team up with, Kong and Shimu and Scar King. They got a big battle in Rio, which, people complain about Man of Steel causing so many casualties with Superman. Rio is, there's a lot of dead people in there. It's like, we're supposed to be cheering for this? But, alright, whatever. And it made it seem like, Shimu, shooting the freeze beam into the sky to make a storm, and you think that'd be such a big deal. But then nope, Godzilla shoots his atomic breath into the sky, and then it clears up the storm. That wasn't really a big deal, just made it cloudy for a little bit. Cool. But, like I said, these are all kind of nitpicks. I could go on, but those are my main thoughts on Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. What did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which will be, I believe, May 3rd for The Fall Guy. And also, check out my TV review of Season 2 of Halo, which I dropped a review on here shortly. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.